I had no idea that child pornography and sex trafficking was such a growth industry in the United States. It's absolutely astonishing how fast it's growing. And my last talk with Victor Marks really opened my eyes. Hey folks, Chuck Holton here. Thanks for watching The Hot Zone. Okay, so here's the thing. If you go back and watch the last episode of my podcast, you'll see my interview with Victor Marks about this pedophile fund that he's putting together to try to track down and not just convict, but to actually shame people who download child pornography. To go back over the numbers again, the number of images, child porn images that were downloaded in 2014 was like 4 million, and last year was like 32 million. Unbelievable growth in child pornography. It's created this huge demand for child sex trafficking, and that's a real problem. So I wanted to talk to you today from my heart about something that we've been doing for a while. It's been something we haven't talked about a whole lot, but it's something you might want to get involved in if it bothers you as much as it bothers me. So Cartagena is a hub for child sex trafficking. It's probably one of the most active places on planet Earth when it comes to prostitution, and that's because it's so close to the United States, it's inexpensive to get there, and there are tons and tons of desperate women who really have nothing else to sell. And so I've been to Cartagena several times. If you've been watching the podcast, you've seen me talk about how the men that go down there are just such perverts and cowards. Guys that can't get a girlfriend in the United States are going to go down there and try to pay for sex. Unfortunately, it doesn't take long on the streets of Cartagena to find somebody that's 11, 12, 13 years old, and maybe even younger. So we have been supporting a woman and her kids down in Cartagena for the last several years. We initially went down there with Victor Marks to sort of look around at the scope of the problem. And while we were there with Victor, we met this girl, and she was, her name is Wendy. She was living in literally a tin shack with a dirt floor and one room, no bathroom, no kitchen, one light bulb. And it just was, she had like 7 people in there, and it was just terrible. So Victor said, look, we got to do something about this. He donated some money, and we got her into an apartment for a year. That apartment was much better, but it was still not great. Didn't have air conditioning, which in Cartagena is almost a death sentence. And even though it had 2 bedrooms, before long she had taken in more mothers and their kids and given them a place to live. So she had 11 people living in that 2-bedroom house. So we moved her to a bigger house, and we continued to support her through donations through the podcast and elsewhere. And the last time we went down there to visit her, because I don't just send her money, we go down there and do spot checks from time to time and try to make sure that everything's on the up and up over there. Last time we showed up at her house, she had 15 girls and children living in her house that she had taken in because we had gotten her a bigger house. So we got her an even bigger house, and now we'll see what happens next. But here's the problem. We pay for her housing, and that's a big help to her, and it helps her to survive, and it keeps her from having to live on the street. But she's got 3 little kids, and the other women that are staying there with her have a bunch of little kids. And what they do is they go out and they sell candies on the streets at night to tourists. They often take their kids with them because you're more likely to buy a sucker or whatever from a little kid that looks like he needs it than you are from a full-grown woman. And so they go down on the streets of Cartagena, downtown, where all the prostitution is taking place, and try to sell candies. That is not a great way to make a living, but they've been able to cobble together enough to survive. And we've been trying to figure out, is this going to be something that's going to last, or is it something that, we don't want to continue? But last time we went down there, I took my wife with me, and she went in and spent some time with Wendy. And when she came out, she said, we need to keep doing this. So here's the problem. Wendy's daughter is 12 years old. Her son is 9. And she says that nowadays it's just a constant fight to try to keep them from getting picked up by pedophiles. When they're downtown working at night, these perverts are always trying to take her 12-year-old daughter upstairs. They're always trying to take her 9-year-old son out to their hotel room. And she's just really worried about their physical safety and emotional safety because, guy offers you $500 if you're in a desperate position like them. It's a hard thing to turn down. So we want to get her into a better situation, and in the meantime, in the process, we want to improve the situation of as many of the women down there and their kids as we can. So what we're looking at doing is we're looking at starting like a coffee shop or a little restaurant, something like that, where these people can come and work, and it'll be in their own neighborhood away from downtown where all the tourists are, something that will allow them to have their kids with them, even maybe get their kids involved in washing dishes or whatever. And nothing major, just a little roadside, maybe a kiosk or a small restaurant or something like that. I've seen several for sale down there of that type for about $10,000 or $15,000. And so we're going to try to raise $20,000, and we're going to try to start a business in Cartagena and have these girls run it. The long-term goal is to try to build out something that is a program to get girls into, with a place for them to live and some businesses for them to get involved in that can give them actual jobs. Colombia has made it fairly easy for Venezuelans to get a work permit and a residency there. They can get a 10-year residency with a work permit for about $25. The problem is, like with Wendy, she's not, highly educated or anything like that, and it's hard for her to just figure out how to do it. So one of the other things that we're going to have to do is get somebody, a lawyer or somebody, to help her get her residency and get a bank account and things like that, so that she can start to actually build a life and not just be sort of marking time in Colombia. So that's what we're going to try to do. I'm putting out a fundraiser on Give, Send, Go, and we're going to try and raise like $20,000. We've got some fairly large backers that are going to help us get started with that. But if you'd like to join us and contribute, then we're going to I'll put the link in the bottom here below this video, and you can contribute. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a trip down to Cartagena to go and try to help get things set up and maybe, do some painting, do some fixing up around the house and that sort of thing for Wendy and the other girls that are there. If you would like to join us on that trip, we have a very limited number of spots. This is not going to be a big trip, but we have a very limited number of spots specifically for people who have capabilities to help out with construction and electrical and plumbing and things like that, and who would like to see the problem of child sex trafficking firsthand, because we'll take you downtown in Cartagena and you'll be able to see these perverts that are out there roaming around looking for somebody to devour. And it'll be a 4 or 5 day trip coming up in September, so not very far away, end of September, beginning of September, end of August, something like that. We're looking at doing this trip. It's not going to be super expensive, but it's not going to be a luxury trip either. So if you're interested in going down there and seeing for yourself, and you have medical skills or construction skills or something like that that you'd like to contribute, get a hold of me. You can email me just at myname@gmail.com, and then we will get back to you and let you know if we've got space. But thanks for being a part of this. I hate to ask for money, and I was talking to Victor Marks about it the other day. It's just, I hate to, ask for donations for things. I wish I could just fund everything myself. But Victor's like, why would you want to hog all the blessing for yourself? Why would you want to keep other people from being able to be blessed by helping others? And I'm not asking for money for me. I'm asking for money for people that desperately need it. And that's really what this podcast is supposed to be all about. It's supposed to be about you being able to come with me as I travel around the world and go to hot zones and disaster areas and see people and meet people who are on their worst day and actually do something about it rather than just watch it. So if you want to help, the link is in the comments below. Let me know if you're interested in coming along on the trip. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Share this with your friends, please. We'll see you.